Well, I think we should slide into the actual negative vibes, or what's bringing down the vibes the most, which is this protest. So, I mean, that's basically all I had to say. Just, I don't know if you want to lead this section off, or I can. But,
I mean, I can lead it off,
us
and
some
then why don't
rounded,
you
yeah.
nutshell what's exactly going on?
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest update that came out of Sounders training today is mostly that there kind of was no update. Christian Roldan was speaking with media at Long Acres today, and he said that the players had not heard back on their counter offer that they made to the league's initial offer, which the players very clearly deemed that an unserious offer. The way they described it, it sounded like the type of offer that you make to someone that you know is going to get rejected.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like. That's how they took it.
It's a fuck you offer.
That is exactly
to
how
put
it's
it
been
in
described.
To put it in
So they made
English
they
terms.
made a counter offer, and as of we're recording this Wednesday evening, as of Wednesday afternoon, they had not heard back. And Christian you could tell he was annoyed at this. Like they feel like at the very least there needs to be like ongoing dialogue and not these long periods of silence or what they consider to be unserious offers. So as we record this right now, this doesn't seem to be particularly close to getting resolved, which is great because the game's on Sunday. So that's like a lot of time to work with here. Like, so,
yeah.
Anyway, Noah, why don't you, we called J.O. to get the, make sure our facts were on point with all this. But why don't you give the people the nutshell of just like what's going on with this, where things stand right now, and what it might look like going forward.
Yeah, so there's obviously a lot of he said, she said, because you've got what the league is telling reporters, you have what the Players Association is telling players.
It's like conflicting.
And I think that you can kind of ride it down the middle and see through it. I think that we can probably give you a little bit of analysis that can make you see through it. But I want to give a full picture because we're slowly like revealing. The fog is clearing as we get more information here and there. So this reporting comes courtesy of Sounder at Heart and Jeremiah O'Shan. If you want to subscribe to Sounder at Heart, this information has been available on there, and this reporting wouldn't be possible without it. So sounderatheart.com/LS and scroll down to subscribe and support. Here we go. So initially, there were informal conversations about the pay structure for this tournament that started 2 or 3 months ago, right? So this is not some new thing. Then I would say 3 or 4 or 5 weeks ago, something around there, Albert Rusnak started talking about this, and Jada Evans of the Seattle Times did a whole article and report about this, which kind of kicked off the public conversation. From there, then you saw the protest shirts and all of that, and it all escalated. But that's kind of been the backdrop. We haven't really known any of the details. That's just been the general view. So when we're looking behind the screen, this comes from sources, is that the players in league went back and forth informally, feeling out the situation and one another. And at one point, the owners had informally suggested 25 to 35% of the performance bonus as a additional incentive on top of the 10. What is it? It's 10%, correct? Of the 9.5 million. So that's 1 million. I think it's like $1 million for a draw, 2 million for a win, and then 7 million if you advance, and then more and more after that, right? So the players would get 25 to 35% of the performance incentive bonuses, which makes sense because they're playing the games, they're advancing, and you want to encourage your team to win games, right? There were back and forths about that, and then they kind of heard radio silence. The players did. The players union and the players. So they protested. They wore the shirts and they wanted to get the wheels moving because MLS was trying to drag their feet on this. And so after that protest, as was reported, the powers that be were not happy, Ari. There was some crashing out. There was some frustration. There was some anger. And the Board of Governors / owners allegedly did a formal offer of 20% of the performance bonus on a Friday night at 6 p.m. in retaliation for this protest. So they basically lowballed what they informally told them they would offer. as an FU because they protested, and were like, okay, you want to protest? Cool. We can protest you too. So they tried to strong arm them with that. Then the players union and the players retaliated with a counteroffer of 40%, not just of the total performance bonus, but of the entire prize package as a whole. So that includes the $10 million for qualifying, any additional bonus revenue generated from it, and the performance bonuses, right? 40% of all of that. And as of 1 p.m., June 11th, there has been no response from the league, and the players are rightfully frustrated. And from what I have gleaned from what Jeremiah has reported is that basically what the league wants to do right now is just drag their feet until the games kick off. Because
that's clearly what's going on.
They don't care. They think that they're in the right, and they are happy to piss off their players in the long term for a short-term gain. That's very clear to what it is. So their argument, the league saying their argument is that teams already got that are in the Club World Cup got an additional $750,000 in allocation money, and so that should be taken into account when considering the prize pool allocated to players, even though that money doesn't go directly to players. That's general salary, all of that kind of stuff, right? The argument from the and then the argument from the league as well is that they say there is no global standard, which was something that the Players Association has claimed, that there's a global standard of 50-50 for tournament sharing. The league says, well, this tournament is completely different. This is unprecedented money. And from what we can ascertain, there are almost zero teams that are giving out any kind of guarantees other than a slight percentage potentially of performance bonuses. So MLSPA has not been able to prove to them, from what has been reported, that there is actually a global standard, because there just hasn't been a lot of reporting in general about how teams are compensating their players for this tournament. Now, on top of that, you have this information coming out that the reason that all of this is boiling over and absolutely insane, the cherry on top, Ari, is that Major League Soccer renegotiated with the Players Association the compensation structure for Champions Cup. When did this happen? In 2024.
Yeah, so
when was the PA signed? 2022. And guess what that compensation structure is? 50% of the total prize pool, which if you win CCC would take you way above $1 million, which is what the cap is, right? 50% up to $1 million. Guess what, buddy? Blows way past that. So all of these arguments are happening under the pretext that they've done this before. They just did this. And MLS is acting like this is some unthinkable, unfathomable conversation to be having.
Right, I can just read the Blue Sky post from the MLSPA right here. They say, fact, there is direct precedent for a fair renegotiation of tournament prize money for MLS players when changes to the CONCACAF Champions Cup significantly increased the prize money to over $5 million for the champion. MLS and the MLSPA reached a fair agreement to equitably distribute the money. The result, a 50-50 split was agreed upon for all the prize money, including both participation and performance-based payments, substantially exceeding the $1 million cap applicable to the Club World Cup. They even made a little graphic to illustrate their point. It's a very sleek, well-made graphic. Mm-hmm. So that's a development that I didn't know about, which is that there is precedent for this type of negotiation, and to me, like it feels like Noah, that this has just become a pissing contest. Like the original offer that they made, like you said, was clearly retaliatory, and that all that does is escalate the situation, right? Because the other side feels disrespected and like they're not being taken seriously. So they throw back an offer that's like going to be clearly way beyond what the league would grant, right? It's like, no, I don't think anyone thinks that they're going to give them 40%.
Well, but it's not, because like, yes, it is retaliatory, but they have precedent for it. They have precedent for 50% of a prize pool, which I'm not saying that there's not going to be a team that gets out of the group, but let's say they don't. That's 50% of $9 million. Like, that's, yeah, you're right. That's $2.5 million more dollars than what they would get for the for winning CONCACAF Champions Cup, but not that much more money.
Yeah, not really.
So they're essentially asking for 40%, which is still less than what they would get if they qualified for if they won Champions Cup and didn't win a game. That said,
just doesn't feel like this ends well. Feels like these negotiations, CBAs, stuff like this, it always gets contentious. But doesn't this feel just like a little uglier than even usual? I know there was almost like a lockout a couple years ago, right?
I remember that.
And like you see that, and that's not something that's only happened in MLS. Like that happens in other sports. But this just feels like it's just escalated, and it's continuing to escalate. And do you see any scenario where they get like an actual deal hammered out by this Sunday? Like, I just have a hard time seeing that. So what happens in that event? Like, the players, like, they could just not play, but I don't think that they're going to do that. I would be surprised if like a strike happens, but it doesn't seem good to have this hanging over the club and all the MLS clubs that are in this tournament while it's going on, and it can't bode well for future relations between the sides, can it? So I don't know. Like, how does this end? I have a hard time prognosticating that.
Here's what I will say, and what I can guarantee is that Major League Soccer is making a very, very short-sighted decision here, because they are pissing off some of their best players at the biggest clubs for a very small short-term gain for their owners, which is essentially just stupid, because they know they're going to have to come back to the bargaining table at some point. And they're going to pay for this one way or another. They're going to pay for this in one way or another when they renegotiate the new CBA, sorry. That's the truth. And so if they think that they're going to, even if they do run out the clock and the players are pissed off and all of this, I promise you there's going to be a get back, and they're not going to like it, and they're going to get more, or try and get more than whatever this just like payment would be. Why does the Board of Governors think that it is a good idea to piss off your players for such a small amount of money? It's stupid.
That money doesn't mean anything to them.
You're silly. You're silly.
It's like, it's become about like, it feels like it's become about like the principle of it.
It is.
Ego. Like,
it is.
Like
and
you're damaging my pride by questioning me type situation, which is like, that's it, to me, like, we can get bogged down in the fine points and the legal technicalities of it. At the end of the day, like, if we all agree that 90-10 is not like a fair allocation of the money that we're talking about here, then it shouldn't be like this hard and dramatic and drawn out to just get to some sort of arrangement where everyone feels like they're being treated fairly, or at least more fairly than 90-10.
Yeah.
So that's just how I feel about it. Like, it doesn't need to be like this. It's gotten to a point where it seems clear that it's not about like the merits of the situation, and it's about, again, like pride, ego, and like having a go at people because you are like you're personally aggrieved by how it's been approached, or how they're subverting you, or whatever it is. Yeah. And that's just like you said, it's silly.
It's silly. They got mad because they protested, but they protested because the league dragged their feet for 2 months. Like, you reap what you sow is all I'm trying to say. It's that you are setting yourself up for way more pain in the long term than just give them a little bit of money. Just give them a little bit more money. You criminally underpay your players as it is. Just give them some goddamn money. You're going to be fine, and you're going to build goodwill. My genuine long-term thought is that they're trying to damage the PA. Because if the PA can't get a deal done, the MLS can go to them and be like, look, what the hell is the players union doing for you? They couldn't even get you this money, right? You have Jeff Cameron out there, fucking dumbass. He's out here saying like, oh, no, the PA's always been dog shit. They've always sucked.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
Shocking. Jeff Cameron, buddy, you were at the Capitol. Like, let's calm it down, okay? And second, you're at TST trying to beg your way to $1 million prize split amongst like 22 guys. No disrespect to TST, but it's like, maybe you should worry about your own bag, bro, because clearly you're hurting for it. Anyway, I just hate that anti-union rhetoric. That pisses me off. But regardless, this situation, you're right. It's a pissing contest. And it's stupid because you're pissing on your employees that make this league go around. And we've almost seen it before. And I wouldn't be shocked to see it again, is a lockout happens. And a lockout close enough to the World Cup or close enough to post-World Cup where you're trying to build momentum. It's like, dude, you're playing with fire. You're playing with the fire, Ari. Yeah,
I was going to say the next round of CBA negotiations are probably going to be super great. Like that's going to be fun for everyone.
Yeah. It's 2028, like, so it's a long ways away, but regardless.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, like remember how stressful it was when the prospect of a lockout was fully on the table the last time this happened. That shit sucked.
The refs, people forget about the refs literally did a lockout. Do you remember how dog shit the officiating was? There was like a whole 7-week stretch where basically every MLS game was just unwatchable.
That was insane content.
That was incredible. Everyone was like, this league is a joke. Do they want that again? Do they want that again? And it was over that, even better. That was over. They were like, hey, can we get flights? Can we just get business class instead of having to ride coach and be able to pick our tickets? That was literally their argument. It was like, hey, we don't really make that much and we just want to be able to get back to our families and pick when we do it. And they were like, no,
absolutely
you should die.
Not. Absolutely
you should die,
not.
actually. Goddamn.
All right.
We're never going to be league shills, dude. They're never hiring us for 360 MLS season pass.